Who is Derrick Jaxn? That's the question of the day. Who is Derrick Jaxn? What up, y'all? Third kind, HumbleCityReal. The show where I talk about things that I like, things I don't like, things I know, things I think I know, whatever else comes across my mind. So, without further ado, we are about to try to find out, possibly, who is Derrick Jaxn. Who is Derrick Jaxn? Okay. I don't know who he is. I really don't know. I've never heard of him. It's, maybe somewhere along the lines, I might have seen a post somebody posted and I didn't know he probably was saying something. I was like, I agree or don't agree, whatever the case may be. I don't know who he is. I don't know. Who is Derrick? Who is he? What does it matter who he is, right? So while I'm asking the question, while I'm trying to find out, of course, like pretty much like anybody else, whoever's on social media and different things of that nature, wake up, timeline, is, going ham, it's pretty much on fire, as any other day, pretty much, it's always some running new topic that people can, get into, be it, some type of, movie, album, it goes. With the timeline going, and I'm looking, it's like, Derrick Jaxn exposed, and I'm like, Derrick Jaxn. Oh, so I keep scrolling, it pops up again. Relationship guru exposed. Relationship guru has been outed by, or aired out by his mistress, and but I'm still trying to. Who is he though? Like, who is this guy? Watch it, and I'm like, looking some more. So now, I need to know who this guy is, but I need to know how much do I really want to know who he is. So, as I do, I go to the people, and that's so I keep scrolling, now, forget the headlines, relationship guru exposed, all the hypocrisy and this and the third. I'm looking like, okay, let me check some of these comments, so I can get a little bit more information. So, read through the comments, and, I'm starting to get an understanding of what he does. I'm like, he's somebody that's famous, definitely well known. So reading through some of the comments, and I'm, putting my pieces together, my little small pieces together to try to figure out, if this is worth me really want to give energy to. So, as I stroll through some of the comments on different posts, you see some of the recurrent things of, see, this is what I'm telling y'all. Y'all shouldn't, be listening to these people. They all they do is want your money, and you they going to them for it. Like, okay, maybe. Or see, hey, look how you gonna tell us that this what you should do with your woman, or this what you should do with your husband, and look at him, he cheating, and I'm like, oh shoot, the hypocrisy, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's hypocritical. You're not, saying one thing and doing another, I'm like, wow, but I'm reading it. But as I'm going into it, I'm starting to notice some things. Like, it's a lot of people really upset, bothered, heated, shocked, appalled, felt like they've been bamboozled, led astray. And it got me wondering. So I was like, ooh, I really want to look into this because I really don't care who Derrick Jaxn is, So if you thought this might be a video where I'm going to be bashing him, no, I'm not. I'm not about to bash that man. There's enough people on the timelines. You can go everywhere where they whooping his ass left and right. They tearing him up too. I mean, I'm talking, they bow, 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 bow. They tearing him up. So if that's what you want to see, you can go anywhere else. Right now, not about to bash that man. Not at all. On the other hand, not about to defend that man. Don't get it twisted. Like I said, who is he? I don't care who he is. That's not nothing that I want to work with. I'm cool. I mean, he did what he does and do what he do. I don't know. Hey, whatever. But for the sake of balance, because if I'm always a person that always looks at, something as there's no object, there's no parts of life that is one side. So I'm like, let me look and see who this guy is. So I checked out a few of his videos, what's going on, looking at a few of them. I'm like, some good stuff in here. Some real good stuff. It's like things I'm like, oh, yeah, I agree. Those things I'd agree with that. I might want to try that. I'm not trying that. No, it was stuff like that. It was pretty good. That might work for somebody else. No, I don't think that'll work for me. A lot of stuff like that. I was like, nowhere in these videos, did I really hear him say and stamp, this is what you should do. Guaranteed or your money back. Never heard him say anything like that. But I digress. I'm gonna come back to that. Watching the videos, they pretty much interesting. And I'm like, okay, cool. Go into his website, look, I see that he, authored a few books. Went to the little, the about section to get a little brief bio about him, and I'm like, okay. Okay, this young man's doing pretty good for himself, in this, area, this arena, as far as, speaking on, self-help and relationships and things of that nature. Well, it's cool. So what this video really is going to be about, as I got to comparing what I seen through the videos from his site, from social media, from the blog sites, from the comments, from the other people's opinion, the other vloggers and stuff, I sat back and said, oh, okay. So those people who are bothered, shocked, mad, feeling like they've been led astray or tricked. So, oh, wow. This video has to be about the difference between worship, law, and advice. If you're distraught about what happened with this guy, what came out and everything, chances are you might be a worshiper of him. And so that's why you're broken by this, scandal or whatever. You probably worship the guy. And you may not know, unknowingly it could happen. But there's no way that, I'm reading that people feel like, oh, how you telling us to do this with my wife and let's do this and he out here doing this. That was just advice. That's all that was. It was just advice. It's not gospel. It's not gospel. That's where the worship part comes in. If you're taking what he says as gospel, and that's probably what I really meant to say before I said worship, gospel, law, then advice. You're taking it as gospel. If you're taking it as gospel, then my friend, I hope that you can bounce back, reach out to someone. So for those of us who, aren't aware of who he is, but we just have our opinions about him, we know somebody that's in that space where they believed in everything that he said and did and followed him true and true. Get them, grab a hold of them, hug them, bring them in real tight, hug them, tell them it's going to be okay. Tell them that it's not over. That man failed, but whatever advice he gave you, whether it worked or not, it was just advice. Advice is what the young man is giving. It's advice. That's all. It's just advice. Advice is something that you're supposed to take and you process it and you filter out the things that you think gonna work for you. Try them out. If they don't work for you, put them back. Go back to the things you didn't think would work for you. You can try them and you just keep on processing and filtering out things until whatever works for you or until you move on to the next thing. That's advice. That's what he's giving. It's not gospel. So for him to live outside of the advice that he gives is almost pretty much human. Hell, I don't do everything right through my relationship, but I give advice to people all the time. I can sit here and say, hey, young man, hey, think about this. You should try to, take your girl out at least, once a month at least. Try to do that. I can sit here and say that to a young man, and it makes sense. I can say that. And then on the other hand, I can be honest. I don't take my wife out once a month. I know I should. We, sometimes we might be busy and there's different moments I probably could have took the time out, and we both should have took more time for ourselves at different times, but we don't do everything right. But what's the takeaway from the advice I gave just because I don't do it? Better example, some of y'all are of a family where you have 5 other siblings. It's a total of 6 of y'all. Your mother has 3 baby daddies. You and your siblings have 3 daddies. Your mother can come and give you advice. Hey, when you meet a young man, you should try this. I dare y'all. I challenge y'all. If you have done it, prove it to me. Show it. I dare you look at her and say, bitch, who you telling about relationships? You got 3 baby daddies. Get the fuck out my face. You can't tell me about no relationship. I dare you. Try it. I want to see it. I'll be here. Even if you're faking, if y'all want to set up a skit and do it, please, I want to see it. I'm Rastafarian on IG. Please post it. Let me see you tell your mama she's a hypocrite just because she tries to give you advice on a relationship just because she had 3 men in her life that fathered you and your siblings. I wanted to see. I want to know. See what I'm saying? That's advice. Advice comes from any spaces in the world. You can get advice from your inspiration, all those different things. Those things can come from anywhere. So my point is, the man's work is what it is. He gives pretty good advice. Everything is not meant for everybody, so you can't just take it as gospel. But I'm quite sure there's some people that took it as gospel, and so they're hurt, they're broken. Now for us, that's not within the mode of what he does, and like we not all I follow him, and then we should be more considerate to those who possibly are in that space where they don't know what to do with themselves. They don't know. Oh my God. I mean, think about it. Some of the advice that he gave, are we now not going to do it? So, i.e., I just told that young man you should take your girl out once a month at least. And he finds out that I ain't taking my wife out in a couple of months. And then what he's gonna, oh my God, you lied. You fucking liar. Oh my God. You know what? I ain't never taking her out no more. Cause you told me and you won't even do it. So I'm not taking her out. No, I'm not gonna do it. You know what? Matter of fact, I'm breaking up. You know what? It is over. I ain't trusting it because you are not practicing what you preach, huh? Yeah. No, I didn't preach it, brother. I didn't preach it. Just giving advice. I mean, maybe the way I delivered it, passion, preachers had that. We coming back to Rev, right? You got to have a certain sense of, energy that you want to bring when you're presenting certain things to people. You are trying to help. So, I can't just be like, oh, no, man, maybe take her out. That might work. No, I'm like, hey, man, what you should try to do? You should try to do this, try to do that. Da-da-da. These are things that, I've seen work before. They could work for me if I try to apply them myself. But the whole conversation doesn't go that way. We just kind of like trying to help you out. It's not necessarily about me. It's about you in this conversation. That's where the advice lies at. So me personally, my goal in this video, once again, is to say, do not worship man. Do not worship man. Woman too, whether if it's a lady saying these things or not. We all have things in our closet and or things that are currently right in front of us is going on that may contradict what we're trying to do. We have a goal one way, but we may not be working on it on the other hand. I.e., his goal is to see people happy and, in prosperous relationships, but, to the detriment of him not taking care of his own things. We all know that sometimes we have, people that are teachers and, and they're thrust into the world of educating children. And sometimes they may, depending on how far they're pushing into it, they don't take care of what's going on at home. Police officers, doctors and stuff. Sometimes, you're like, how you doing this? And, you not even take care of things like that can happen. Not to justify it. He fucked up. And, he gonna have to figure out what's going on. I'm quite sure he's going through a hellified damage control situation. He got a lot of things going on. I want to say he's a millionaire, so he definitely has a lot of things going on now that this is out and about. So he has a lot of things going on. So that's why I don't need to bash him. I mean, shoot, it's a whole bunch of people kicking and stomping him. I don't need to move. Let me get my hit in. Let me get. I don't need to. That's cool. I'm all right with that. I mean, it's enough people whooping on him. I just had to feel like, hey, while those folks over there whooping on him and keep on whooping on him, let me get your attention for a moment. They still whooping on him, don't worry. I'm only going to hold you for a moment. And when you get done, listen to me, you can turn your focus back to them whooping on him. It's going to be there for you all day, probably for another couple of days, probably for a week. He's still going to be there. At this time, take it here as just what it was. It's advice. There's no need to throw the baby away with the water. There's no need to do that. People are like really like shitting on his work. And it's like, no, he did good work. He just, for what we have been presented with, as just not being a good husband. Like, that's what he's not doing. He still did good work, though. I mean, just because he's been found out to not be faithful does not mean that the words that he gave you weren't good advice for you to utilize possibly in your life. Him giving you that advice should not have done nothing for you as far as what he's doing. You shouldn't be concerned whether he's in a happy relationship. It's not your business. Shouldn't care. Okay, if him and his wife are on the best of terms or the worst of terms, you shouldn't care. Y'all not having a back and forth dialogue in that regard, so where you're going to get that type of information. No. He's speaking to you. You're not speaking to him. He's speaking to you. Take in what it is. Here it go. This is a recorded message that he's giving you. This is not hey, well, how do you feel? It's just he gave you everything, and now you hear what you hear, and you take from it what you need to take from it. You go left with it, you go right with it. That's for you. Now, that's all I got for that right now. It's nothing else. I just want to say, remember, don't worship man. Understand there's a difference between gospel. I said law. I think that's pretty explainable, understandable. And then there's advice. You make your choice, but never take in anybody's words to you as gospel. He doesn't look a thing like Jesus or Muhammad or any other, messengers. It's advice. It's not gospel. Everything he gave you, whatever articles you read, wasn't like in the book on your granny table, next to the bowl with the peppermints and the butterscotch. It wasn't like the guy in the book, where everything he said was in red. Nothing that guy said is in red, I guess, for the most part. If it is, let me know in comments, maybe. But he's just a man. He's just a man who's currently got a lot of fixing to do, That's about it, image-wise and all that stuff. But that's it. It's just advice. He's not your savior. You did not lose. It's not over for you. The things he gave you, they're still usable. They're still applicable. You can still go with it. It's okay. It's all right. You can still quote him and everything else. Yeah, someone's going to be like, oh, you quoting an adulteress? Yeah. Yes, I am. I guess, regardless of what he chooses to do, what he said made sense, if it does for you or whatnot. It is what it is. Let these people be humans for your sake. Not for them. He gonna go through what he go through, but for your sake. Don't give that man that type of power where you feel as though it's all over and everything that he said doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. When I take advice, this is me on a personal. I just hear the words and I process it, filter it through, run it back, and I try to play it for myself. I don't even think whether that person has done it, if they are currently doing it. It's not my concern, really, So, let me know what y'all think. Hit me up in them comments. Don't forget, subscribe, hit the like button. Go ahead and set that notification. HumbleCityReal. Holla at you next time.